us your impressions of the preseason and how you think it went.
Yeah, I think it went well. I think we 6-1-1 is good by anybody's standards, no doubt about that. And it's exciting for us coming up to this first game on Saturday. We've got a different look to our team. We've built on the quality and the foundation that we had last season, but we've got some more pieces now that can help us be successful. So in terms of our pre-season, I think it went as well as we could have hoped, and it is actually really nice to be back in Vancouver. I think it makes me realise how much I love being here when I'm gone for as long as I was in the last few weeks. So thanks for welcoming us back. Thank you.
Next year is going to be your 40th year as part of the club in 2014. How does the start of this season compare with some of the past, and especially the past 2 years?
Well, the thing for me that I love is that I still get the same butterflies now that I did when I started in 1974. That's a very special feeling, and I have those butterflies started at the beginning of this week. But when I look at where we're at versus 2 seasons ago when we started up in MLS, I think what we've managed to achieve through our coaching staff and the hard work that's going on behind the scenes is a team, hopefully, that has upgraded with each season. And we've been able to add some depth in the back, in midfield, and up front. And I think all of that combined will provide us with an opportunity to repeat what we did last year, make the playoffs, and ideally have a good lengthy run in the playoffs.
Jay DeMerit, you may not realize, was not only born with the athletic gene, but also an artistic gene as well. So Jay, how does it feel, and what do you think of the new jersey you get to slip into?
I like it. You know, first off, it's a lot lighter than the previous jersey, so to play in that kind of material is always going to be a little bit easier. I love being an artist and creative, I suppose. I love the idea of the jersey, what it all represents. It really ties into this club well, and it's a club that's very proud of its history, and all of these types of things entwined into a jersey is not only creative but very designer friendly as well. So it's all good in our work.
All right, let's get some questions starting with the media. Carly Jokic up front, my pal. Carly? Everybody's waving Carly off. Unbelievable. Nobody has a question? Oh, really?
Thanks for your time. I would like to know, in terms of the atmosphere and the vibe of the new players and this new team for 2013, just describe a little bit of that in the locker room banter and the new friends and that sort of thing.
That's for me? Well, I would say that this is probably the most diverse team I've ever been on. We joke and call it the UN in our locker room because we really have the flags of many countries. But in a way that makes our team very special, and it makes our culture that much more important, I suppose. And to have the likes of a South Korean and a Jamaican and a Ghanaian, and you name it, all being on the same team allows us to really learn each other's cultures, and in a way that builds that bridge a little bit easier, I suppose, when you actually make it on the field. And I think we're in a very special place, and everyone buys into a system and a certain mentality that comes from the coaching staff, and the attitude and the positive beings that we all want to be in order to make the best team that we can. And I think, first off, all the players have to buy into it, which we have created a team of players that are buying into that system. So that's the first step. Secondly, now it's about getting on the field and learning from each other and the way that we play. We've surrounded ourselves with talented players too, so now it's just a matter of time until we show that on the field.
Just put your hand up if you have a question for Carly. That's it. Weaves? No questions? Mark's tweeting. Okay, well let's see if does Phil or Colby have any questions? Hard to see you guys. Okay, there's a question. Here we go.
Hi guys, thank you very much. I guess this would be for Coach Rennie. If you, at the end of the year, when you get to the end of the year, what would be defined as a successful year in terms of playoffs, wins, team, that type of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I get asked that question a lot. For me, I think it's all about improving and getting better. Last season, when we started here, the team had just finished a season where they were last in the MLS. And it's very unusual to go from last to making the playoffs. And last season we managed to achieve that, so we're very proud of that. And the players deserve a lot of credit for that. We're the first ever Canadian team to make the MLS playoffs, and we're very proud of that as well. Many years from now, no one else will ever have made it to the playoffs in Canada before us. That history is written. But what we want to do now is write some more history. And to do that, it means things like getting playoff games at home, where all of our fans can be there and experience that and help us win those kind of games. Improvement on last season is doing well in the Canadian Cup, and all those things are the goals that we set at the start of the season. But for us, it's about getting better, and I think that's important in soccer and in any walk of life. Is how can you improve? How hard can you work to get better? And if we do that and we improve on what we did last season, then we'll have a season that I think we'll all be very happy with.
Got a question on Twitter from Andreas, who wants to ask Jay DeMerit. They just opened the new UBC Training Center, and even though that's a temporary next to the permanent one that's coming, what's your favorite and the players' favorite part of the new training center?
Well, I think first off, it's finally, after a long time coming, a place we can call home. There's a certain comfort to have a home, I suppose, to come and train every day, to get to know the facility and know that every day that you're coming to the same place. And again, that helps build the team that we were talking about earlier, and the camaraderie that we all expect. And, to have that now as a group in a place that we can call home, it's great. Obviously, the medical facilities are fantastic. The field that we'll train on now is grass, which is fantastic for us as well. A little bit easier on our bodies. And then thirdly, it gives us all our own space to be able to be more of a team. Martin and all of the administrators have offices. We have a great physio room, and we have a great player area for us to lounge and watch TV or a certain game that might be on that afternoon after training. And again, just continuing to build our club in the right direction.
Questions from the floor?
We've got one back.
Perfect.
First of all, gentlemen, congratulations, well done on the new jersey. You guys are going to look sharp on Saturday. The fans have already taken a look at TFC, and quite frankly, what we see is pretty pathetic. The fans have already looked past TFC. Martin, Jay, how do you guys not look past TFC?
For us, it doesn't matter to me if they have 30 players on the roster, they have 18 players on the roster. When it comes down to the game, it's going to be 11 against 11. And you have to respect your opponent all the time, but you also have to respect the game of soccer. And if you decide not to do that, then it can come back to hurt you and back to bite you. For us, we want to do absolutely everything we possibly can to make sure that Saturday's a memorable day for us, for our club, for you, our fans, for our players. And to make that happen, we have to be absolutely focused on everything that we have to do tomorrow, the next day, and leading up to, of course, the game on Saturday. When we play at our best, we've got a chance against anybody in MLS, especially with you, our fans, behind us, cheering us on. But we're not at our best, and it's different. So for us, we'll just be absolutely focused on being at our best. It doesn't matter who we're playing, it doesn't matter what their team's like.
No bulletin board material there, thank goodness. Anybody else on the floor?
Another one here.
Hi, this is Bob and Martin. My question is that we've had 3 DPs leave us already. All of you know that. I was just wondering how difficult of a choice was that to let them go. And I just want to say that it was very brave to let them go, as it wasn't easy financially or by any means.
You're right. It's a decision that obviously impacts us financially. Fortunately, we have ownership that are committed to the long haul. And when the decision was made to move on, obviously the DPs that we've had were Jarju and the year before last, and then we had Kenny Miller, who's obviously still with us, and Barry Robson, who we moved on. First of all, the coaching staff have to determine what they want in the squad, and they determined at that point that it would be best to make the move, and then we discussed with the player, and ultimately in the player's case, Barry had decided as a result of his family not being able to settle here in Vancouver that he was really looking to go back. So in the end, it was a win-win situation. Moving forward, I think we need to give ourselves and the player a better chance of success by allowing for the player to have a phase in to the team. And the way that it works right now, when they finish their respective seasons abroad, and they're finishing in May, they're inactive until the transfer window opens again. And as a result of that, they're coming in to a season that's always that's halfway through a season, players that are well into their stride, and they're having to try to find their feet. And it's not just the Whitecaps, it's MLS in general. You look at David Beckham in his first year in particular, struggled, second year struggled as well. And there's a history of other DPs. Tim Cahill in New York last year struggled. So I think what we need to do as a club is look at the timing of DPs, and we're not even convinced at this stage that that's the route we want to go. If someone special turns up, then maybe that would be an alternative for us.
Question from Jeff on Twitter to Martin, who wanted to know who the toughest opponent was in preseason, and who you think might be the toughest opponent in the Western Conference.
Well, I think in pre-season we had a lot of tough games. I think that probably Houston showed us a good game twice. They played us in Arizona and then again in Charleston. They made it to the MLS Cup final last season, and I think they're always a hard team to play against. Very, very solid, and they gave us a good game for sure. And in the Western Conference, there's always going to be the same kind of contenders. With LA, you've got the MLS Cup champions, and one of the best teams over the last few years, and so it's always hard to probably see past them. But our job is to try and get ourselves into that bracket with those top teams, and that's what we're focused on doing and determined to make happen this season.
We've got one here over your right. Perfect. This one's for Jay. We all remember your unique hairstyle got a lot of attention going into the playoffs last year. And I'm wondering if we can expect another unique hairstyle from you this season, or any fun little ways to engage your fans.
Well, you don't plan on things like that, put it that way, but it just, sometimes you just need to run with it. We were in a bit of a run at the time, and sometimes it takes, whether it's just things in the locker room, whether it's certain banter, or certain things you try to do with the fans, or certain things fans create, you try to do something to change the energy, and I guess at the time, a mullet seemed to be the answer. I'm not sure if it was in the end the right answer, but either way, it got people back interested in the Whitecaps, and I suppose took our attention a little bit off our ailing at the moment. So I think for us, it was something that we could enjoy, not only just to show the fans, but ourselves, that we were continuing to try to move in the right direction, trying to stay positive, and trying to use those positive things to go and get victories. And thankfully, it got us into the playoffs. I'm not going to say that's the one that got us into the playoffs, but saying that it did those types of things just keep everyone energized and moving in the right direction and staying positive. So I'm all for things like that.
Another one here.
Martin, what's your plans for right back?
I think probably choose one of our defenders. I've still got a few tough decisions to make, to be honest. Between now and Saturday, we've had a lot of players play well in pre-season, and of course last season Mike Bailey was our MVP and played right back for us, so it'll probably be pretty hard to see past him, I would think.
Carly?
My question is similar to that one. But, first of all, congratulations on the drafts and the signings. We're looking forward to a lot of goals and whatnot from these players. Martin, you have a very unenviable task of figuring out who you're going to to start? Any chance on letting it out of the bag right now, the 11 starters on Saturday?
If I knew, then maybe. But right now, I still have to decide on that. We have to, as a staff, sit down and really make our final decision on that in the next 2 days. But the thing about the season that we have with Major League Soccer is it lasts a very long time. And there's a lot of games to be played. There's a lot of competitions to do well in. And choosing the team on the first day isn't necessarily the team for every game for the rest of the season. It never happens like that. And it's important for us to have a very strong squad of players. One of the things I was thinking about today is that we can change the game from the bench, which we couldn't do last season. And I think that's a really important factor for us this season, is that we can make changes that can make an impact on the game. If it's going one way, we can change it, and if it's going another way, we can change it differently. So honestly, I'm excited about the players that we've got, not just the talent, the skill that they have, but the kind of people that they are. To me, that's very important, and I think they will represent you very well.
Peter, we got a question from Kyle.
Hey,
back.
Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Jay, I was just curious what you've learned from YP League, and also what you have tried to teach some of the young guys on the squad.
Well, I think anytime you get guys like YP League onto your team, you try to learn as much as you can from them. It's important, especially a team like ours. It's in a little bit of a special situation in being an expansion team. You need certain guys of a leadership quality or of experience quality to really help those young guys come through. So for us, I think having YP, guys like Andy O'Brien, myself, Joe Cannon, who have been around for a while, it's important for us to really take guys under our wing. Mainly it's position-based. YP does a lot of work with our young defenders. I'll try to do work with those guys as well. And definitely all of us try to do a little bit of a team effort on a lot of the young guys, like Omar Salgado, for instance. To come in as a 17, 18-year-old, those guys need mentoring. And they don't always need it from the coaching staff and from the people higher up or their parents. A lot of times they're more receptive to guys that have been there and done it, guys that they respect and hold into a higher light. So I believe that it's our job to take that upon ourselves to help nurture these kids and not put too much pressure on them, I suppose, in the beginning, but make sure that they're trying to advance as people and as players. And YP, he's kind of the master zen of all of us. He oversees it all and very quietly has words in corners. He's not really a rah-rah, shouted out guy. He's the guy that will pull you and then quietly have a wise word for you. But I think our span of leaders in this dressing room is pretty special. We're all very different in the way we lead, and I think that's important to a club. And I think as we move forward, it's going to be important for us to, as we draft a lot of young, really talented guys, it's important for us now to nurture them, because there is nurturing that needs to take place, because these guys aren't going to become, the best players in the world in year one. And a lot of fans need to understand that too, is that these guys will have a learning curve just like any other professional in their lives. And whether they're 17 or 25, they need to learn the ropes, they need to do it right, and they need to make sure that they're not losing anything in between. And I think the combination of what we do from the coaching staff down to the players to the leaders is making sure that these guys are just staying on the right path.
Twitter question to Martin from Camilo. I don't think am I starting? No. He wants to know about Nigel Reo-Coker and whether you will ease him in or throw him in off the deep end, because we know Nigel has said in his whole career he's been pushed off the deep end and he's always swam.
Yeah, again, that's a good question. I think that on Sunday it was exciting for us to have Nigel in our locker room, and it made a difference to the energy right away before we even played the game. And then I thought he did very well in the game. 45 minutes he played, and he drove the young players on, and he did a very good job himself. I really think he's going to be an important player for our club. I think that he will wear his heart on his sleeve, and as Jay said, will be a different kind of leader to those that we already have, which is important. As to Saturday, I think there's a good chance that he'll be involved in the game. Whether he starts or not, we have to wait and see, because throughout pre-season there's a lot of players that have done very well, and so we have to take that into account while we choose for the first game. But as the season goes on, I think that Nigel will be a very important player, and I think he'll be a fan's favourite too.
Really quick one from me to Bobby about the game day situation or presentation at BC Place. Any changes this year, Bobby, for season ticket holders?
Yeah, we can expect something different this year. Don't want to give the the information away at this stage, but our director of events, Jamie, and Chuck and his staff have been working on something different, so you'll have that to look forward to on Saturday.
Got one more back here.
How did you want to be a soccer player, not some other player, like a basketball player?
Green Bay football.
Very good question. Good question. Well, I think as you grow up, you just find your passions in life. And for me, soccer was something I was pretty good at a young age. It provided an opportunity to go to school and get my schooling for free and my education, which was very important to me. And then as I got older and continued to play soccer, I got better at that still. And so I got smarter and better at sports. So it was very important for me to keep going on both of those things. And I kept getting great opportunities to go and try to play professional soccer. Every kid wants to be a professional athlete. Soccer was my key to doing that.
2 more questions.
Question here from Jason. This one's for Bobby. Even James brought it up himself that a lot of the players prefer to play on grass. And I know we have a really good stadium and the pitch is a high quality there, but are there still medium-term goals for the Whitecaps to have their own stadium, outdoor, grass, that kind of thing?
Well, when the renovation of BC Place was first unveiled and I saw it, I actually thought to myself, if it looks like that, then it will be a fantastic venue to play on. And it not only looks like that, I think it has a great feel to it. Retractable seats in behind the goals. The second roof that provides the intimacy of the 20,000 plus seat stadium, and the turf. And the turf, I really don't, with all due respect to the players, I don't have a lot of sympathy for the players on the turf side. Because if they played on the turf that I played on at Empire Stadium, then they should be complaining. So I think turf is really, artificial turf has come such a long way. And our venue, when we get other clubs coming to our venue, they will tell us that it's one of the best venues in the league. So the ideas of another stadium, certainly in the foreseeable future, we are ecstatic with BC Place. And the atmosphere in the building, and you people here tonight helped to generate that atmosphere, is fantastic as well. I get people that will say to me they're watching from another city and how well that it comes across on television. So, the answer to your question is, we are in a great venue right now. You can help to make it even better than it is, so let's do it.
Anyone? There it is. Right over there. Phil, you around back there? Colby? Hand up at the back.
Yeah, mic on the way.
Okay. Keep your hand up, sir. There you go.
This question's for Bobby there. Is there any chance of having any friendlies coming our way this season?
What we want to do with international friendlies is make sure that the first international friendly we play, we had Man City in, and aside from the fact that it rained for 4 days at a time of the year in July when it never does rain and we had to squeegee the field in order to get it ready for the Man City match, it was a great event. We have so many other things to focus on. We would love to host an international friendly, but our approach at this stage has been to ideally wait for that opportunity where one of the big clubs is available and we can utilize our venue to its maximum potential. So I don't want to say that there isn't a chance it's going to happen, although for the upcoming season it isn't very likely. But certainly in future years we're excited about the prospect of playing international friendlies, but we want to make sure that when we do play that first one, it's a very, very special event.
Great questions. Thank you to the three of you. Obviously, all the best of luck. Martin, Jay, Rob, can't wait to get started on Saturday. Thank you for the questions. That wraps up the Q&A portion. We're going to let you watch another video here, this time from, boy, he's a wily veteran now of 3 years, Omar Salgado. The first ever Whitecaps FC draft pick, Omar Salgado, on why he loves Vancouver.
Why am I on